Okay, well, this will be an overview of the PSA's star rating and photographic distinctions system, and hopefully it will clear up some of the questions that people might have. So first of all, you need to understand what the star ratings are. And basically these are just the official records that you get from PSA to acknowledge that you have received certain acceptances in PSA recognised exhibitions. So they're just an electronic document that says, yes, these are the acceptances that you have achieved. And you have to apply for these star ratings, and the procedure for applying for the star ratings is described on the PSA website. Once you have star ratings that indicate you have a sufficient number of acceptances, then you can apply for a PSA distinction. And the distinction system is called ROPA, Recognition of Photographic Achievement. And this leads to you being allowed to use the letters after your name, starting with QPSA, PPSA, and so on, up to the Grand Master's distinction. So they're the two things I'm going to be talking about today. The star ratings, which is basically the process of getting your acceptances verified or approved by PSA, and then how you use those star ratings to apply for the ROPA distinctions. So what are you going to do with the acceptances that you get in PSA salons or exhibitions? Well, basically there are three steps. First of all, you have to gain the acceptances in PSA recognised exhibitions. You cannot use acceptances if the exhibition is not approved by PSA. It's okay if it's approved by PSA and also other organisations such as FIAP, but you can't have it if it's from some organisation that hasn't received recognition from PSA. So once you've gained the acceptances, that's when you apply for the star ratings, and the star rating system actually has three levels to it. There are stars and galaxies and diamond ratings. And basically these are just different ways of acknowledging the acceptances that you've received. And the full details of that are explained on the PSA website. Now, once you have enough acceptances approved through the star rating system, then you apply online for a ROPA distinction. How do you know if the salon or exhibition has received PSA recognition? That's very simple. On their website, they will have a PSA recognition number, and usually that will appear underneath the PSA logo. And it will be a number like PSA 2020-123. And if you can't find that PSA recognition number, then it means the exhibition is not approved by PSA. So you enter the exhibition, your images get judged, and if you get acceptances, the exhibition reports those acceptances to PSA. And this takes several weeks to happen. So you can't use the acceptances immediately because PSA doesn't get the records immediately. But basically, the acceptances, the information about acceptances goes to PSA and it's put into an acceptances database so that PSA officials can check it. Now we'll come back and speak briefly about what exactly are the stars, galaxies, and diamonds. Well, as I said, they're just the way that PSA recognises or acknowledges your acceptances. So you put in an application for a star rating. The designated person in PSA checks that application. They compare the acceptances that you're claiming with the records that are in the PSA database, and that's how they verify that your acceptances are genuine. Now, when you are applying for star ratings, I'll just go back a step. Once you have achieved a certain number of stars in a division, up to star 5, you then continue the process of getting your acceptances recognised by PSA, but it moves into what are referred to as a Galaxy system and then a Diamond system. The rules change a little bit, but as I said, it's explained in detail on the PSA website. So don't be confused about that. You just start off with star ratings. Now, one thing that's special with PSA is that they have what are called star paths. This just means that when you are applying for your star ratings, in other words, you are asking PSA to check your acceptances and verify that they're correct, you have to make these star rating applications separately in the different divisions. So you would apply for your, apply to have your nature acceptances verified on a different application than, say, your photo travel acceptances. So these are all the different star paths. So in the projected image division, for example, there are two star paths, one for color and one for monochrome. And they're designated by these letters, PIDC and PIDM. This simply means that when you are making your applications to PSA, you have to keep your color acceptances separate from your monochrome acceptances. And they're kept separate from your nature acceptances, photojournalism, photo travel, and so on. And in the print division, you keep your color acceptances separate from your monochrome acceptances. So this just simply means that when you go to the PSA website and you download the application form so that you can apply for star ratings, you use a separate form for your acceptances in each of the different star paths. It might sound complicated at first, but you get used to the idea that you keep your acceptances in the different classifications separate. You will know which star path to use because when an exhibition puts information up on the website to encourage you to enter, they will indicate the sections, which section is in which star path. And you can't mix them up when you apply for your star ratings. It's very important when you start entering exhibitions that you keep accurate records. If you don't keep accurate records, you don't have the information that you need to go on your star applications. And this is the information that you must record for all of your exhibitions. And the easiest way to do this is on a spreadsheet, which I'll explain in a moment. So you must record the name of the exhibition, and this is the official name that PSA uses for that exhibition. And you can find this on the PSA website. On the PSA website, there's a list of all of the exhibitions that have been approved by PSA, and each exhibition will have a name. Usually it's the same name that the exhibition uses, but sometimes it's a shortened name. So for example, you might have an exhibition that calls itself the 95th digital exhibition and so on. PSA drops off the 95th bit and we'll just have the shortened name of the exhibition. There's the PSA number, which is the PSA recognition number. As I said before, that will look like PSA 2020-123. Make sure you record the year of the exhibition, 2020 and so on, the country in which the exhibition takes place, and of course you need your image title. And make sure that when you're recording your information about your acceptances, that you record exactly the title that you used when you entered the exhibition. And also record the PSA division and star paths, so PIDC, PIDM, nature, photojournalism, and so on. Now, the easiest way to keep these records is to go to the PSA website, find the section, there's a button up the top of the screen that says Stars/ROPA. If you click on that, you'll be able to download the STARS application spreadsheet. Now, once you've downloaded this application spreadsheet, it's an Excel spreadsheet, download that and make a copy of that for each of the star paths where you know you're going to be getting acceptances. So PIDC, nature, photojournalism, and so on, and keep those separate. And as you get your acceptances in exhibitions, you can enter them on these spreadsheets. Now, these are the application spreadsheets, but you can use the basic structure of the spreadsheet just to record your acceptances as you get them over the years. And then when you're ready to make an application, you transfer or copy from your own records onto an actual application. And if you do it that way, you'll make sure that you are recording all of the information that you need for your applications. Now, here are some questions that have been put to me by Stephen. And this is a simple answer. The answer is yes. If you have an image accepted in one salon or exhibition, you can keep entering that in other exhibitions. That's not a problem. You can enter it as many times as you like. And you can enter it in different divisions if the image satisfies the definition for that particular division. So for example, you might have an image which you want to use as a photo travel image. So you can enter that in sections of exhibitions that are designated as photo travel sections. But you might decide that that image would also be suited just as an open color image. And so you could enter it in sections that were designated as PIDC. So there's no problem in doing that. And lots of people, for example, will have nature images, which sometimes they want to enter just in a color section. It's okay to do that, but the thing you have to keep in mind is that for your star applications, you can only use acceptances that are in the correct star path. So for example, if you have a nature image and you get acceptances for that in a nature section, those acceptances will be used in a nature star path. If you use exactly the same image and enter it in a PIDC, a color section, and it gets accepted, those acceptances can only be used in the color star path, the PIDC star path. You can't mix those things up. Now, this part is really important. It doesn't matter what section you enter an image in. If you have, for example, a nature image, which you also want to enter as a color image, you must use the same title for it. And this also applies if you have a color and a monochrome version of the same image. You must use the same title. And you can't, as I say, you can't mix the acceptances up in different star paths, but the same image must always have the same title. Simple answer here. You can get as many acceptances as you like for a particular image. But, and this will come up later in the discussion, there's not much point in having a really good image and deciding that you want to keep entering it again and again and again. I've seen some people who get 250 acceptances for the same image. That's a waste of money in terms of your PSA, applying for PSA distinctions, because as we'll see later, there's a limit to how many times you can use a particular image in your star applications. You're much better off, if you want to get your PSA distinctions quickly, you're much better off entering lots of different images. And maybe you want to get 10 acceptances for the same image, that's fine, but there's no point getting 100 acceptances for the same image. You'll just be wasting those acceptances. You won't be able to use them all. A question here about what's retitling. Retitling would simply mean you had a particular image and you changed its title. You can't do that. Once you have an image accepted in a PSA recognized exhibition, doesn't matter what category it's in, nature, photojournalism, color, whatever, you must continue to use the same title for that image. This information is on the PSA website. Each different star rating requires a different number of acceptances. And you'll find on the website a table that looks like this. And if you just look at the top part of it to start with, to get yourself started in a division, say nature division, you would apply for star rating number 1. And all that requires is 6 titles, in other words, 6 different images, and a total of 18 acceptances. So you could have, for example, 6 different images, each one with 3 acceptances. Or you might have a mixture. You might have some images that have got only 1 acceptance and other images that might have 5 or 6 or however many acceptances are needed. But the 2 important things are the number of titles and the number of acceptances. So that's just for star 1. When you go to star 2, you need 6 more images to give you a total of 12 images and a total of 36 acceptances, and so on. So for star 3, you need another 12 different images, giving you a total of 24 different images, or different titles as they're called, 72 acceptances, and so on. So when you get up to star 5, that means you have to have a total of 96 different titles and a total of 288 acceptances, all in the same star path. So for example, these would all be nature images or photojournalism images. And if you have that, 96 titles, 288 acceptances, and you put that application in for star 5, you'll get a certificate that says you have achieved star 5 in that division. And the certificate will say you've achieved star 5 on the basis of 96 titles, 288 acceptances. Now, in that same star path, nature, for example, once you have achieved star 5, your next application is not a star application, it becomes a Galaxy application. You apply for Galaxy 1. Now, something really important happens here. For Galaxy 1, you need to have 25 new titles, and they must have 3 acceptances each. So when it says 25 new titles, that means 25 titles, 25 images that you did not use for your star 5 application. They are new titles, totally new titles, new images. And each of those images must have exactly 3 acceptances. And the same thing applies for Galaxy 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or sorry, up to 5. So for Galaxies 1 to 5, each of those applications requires 25 new titles, titles that haven't been used before, and 3 acceptances for each of those. Then when you come to Galaxy 6, you need 50 new images, 3 acceptances each, and that continues through up to Galaxy 10. And just looking over to the right-hand side here, that means by the time you got to Galaxy 10, let's say in nature, you would have had to use 471 different images. And in total, they would have achieved 1,413 acceptances for those 471 images. Then, whoops, sorry. When you move into the diamond ratings, which you can't do until you've got Galaxy 10, it becomes 50 new titles with 6 acceptances each, and so on through to diamond 5, and then for diamond 6 through to 10, there's 75 new titles and 6 acceptances. So by the time you got up to diamond 10, which is the top rating in a division like nature, you would be using 1,096 different images, with a total of 5,163 acceptances for those images. So that sounds a lot, but for most people, anyway, they're going to be working back here at the star ratings level. But, and something really important, when you are working through your star ratings, by the time you get up to star 4, you need to be thinking very carefully about the acceptances you've received for each image. And you might decide that there are some images which have just 3 acceptances, and you can hold on to those to use in the Galaxy area. Don't use them on star 5, because once you use an image anywhere here for star ratings, that title can't be used for Galaxies. So this question now, the limit to the number of acceptances that you can use for each title, it depends on whether you're applying for stars or galaxies or diamonds. So up to star 5, there's no limits. So you could, for example, have one image that was very successful. You might have 30 acceptances for it on a star application. That would be okay. But once you move into galaxies and diamonds, there's a limit to how many acceptances you can use for each title. So star ratings, no limit. And for, this is just the examples here, and that's just repeating the information that I said, told you before. And keep in mind that for a simple example like star 1, which needs 18 acceptances from at least 6 titles, there are several different ways you could get that. The usual way is people will have 6 different titles, 3 acceptances each. But you could have 9 titles with only 2 acceptances each, or even an extreme case of 18 different titles with just 1 acceptance each. All of those things would be okay for star 1, because the important thing is a total of 18 acceptances from at least 6 titles. Now, keep in mind that if you use a title for star 1, you can continue to use that and get more acceptances for it and still use that title for star 2 and star 3 and so on. You can continue to use the title from star 1 through to star 5. It's only once you've got star 5, you can't use the title anymore for Galaxies. So how are you going to apply for these star ratings? Well, that's a fairly simple process. Go to the PSA website and you'll see this button, stars/ROPA. And from there, from that page, on that page, you will find a section that looks like this, the star ratings guidelines. And here there are 3 documents you can download. There's the Excel spreadsheet that I've been talking about here, which is the actual application form, the form that you have to send to PSA. There's also this detailed document, which is the instructions for applying for stars. And there's another document which guidelines for actually using this application spreadsheet. And it's important to refer to this 3rd document if you're not familiar with using spreadsheets. And also if you are familiar with using spreadsheets, but not Excel spreadsheets, some other type of spreadsheet, there's information in these guidelines that will help you to get your application in a form that's acceptable to PSA. So download the spreadsheets and the instructions. And if you have any questions about those, you have to ask some specific questions of people in PSA to clear that up so that you know exactly what you're doing. Now, when you've got an application ready, you have to keep in mind that once an exhibition closes and you've got your report card from the exhibition that says that you got certain acceptances, PSA does not have that information instantaneously. It takes sometimes up to several months, maybe 2 months, sometimes 3 months, before that information about your acceptances is in the PSA database. So what you need to do, go to the PSA website. One of the buttons at the top of the screen says exhibitions, and you can come down here and it will say closed exhibitions. this says closed exhibitions 2018, but it's an old screenshot. If you went there now, it would say closed exhibitions in 2020. And you'll see, whoops, you'll see a list of exhibitions, and some of them will have the name of the exhibition highlighted. And if it's highlighted, that means PSA has received the results of that exhibition. Currently, the highlighting will be, rather than being in yellow, it will be orange to indicate that PSA has received the results of that exhibition, and those results have been put into the PSA database. If you look at an exhibition and the title is not highlighted, it just means that PSA has not yet received the results and put them into the database. So there's no point in putting results from, or acceptances from that exhibition on an application, because nobody in PSA can check that it's correct. So when you're happy that your application is complete, you've checked everything, you know PSA's got the results, then you find on that same Stars ROPA page, if you scroll down, you'll see all of these links here to the various divisions. The projected image division, which is for both the color and monochrome images, nature, photo travel, and so on. And if you click on one of these links, it will take you to the page where you can submit your application. And on that page, you'll see a photograph of a person who's referred to as the Star Ratings Director for that division. And some divisions have several Star Ratings Directors. If there are more than one, one of them is designated as the coordinator for that division. And that person, next to their portrait, there will be a link so that you can email them. And you click on the email link and you send the application off to that person. So the person who's called the Star Ratings Director will take your application, download your application from your email, and check the information on your application against the PSA acceptances database. So for example, if you clicked on the link to the photo travel division, this is what you'd see. You'll see that in the photo travel division, there are actually 4 different people who are designated as Star Ratings Director, but Stephen is designated as the Star Ratings Coordinator, and he's the only one on the page where there's a link to his email. You can't contact these other people directly, but these people will be processing some of the applications. It's just indicating that this person processes applications for stars 1 to 4. This person processes them for star 5, and the Galaxy Diamond applications go to this person. But what happens is you email your application to Stephen, and Stephen will pass on that application to the appropriate person here to do the checking of your application. When the Star Ratings Director is happy that your application is complete and correct, and you satisfy the requirements for the star rating that you applied for, then the Star Ratings Director will send you a link so that you can make your payment by PayPal. You have to pay for each star rating. Once you have made the payment by PayPal, then the Star Ratings Director will email you a star ratings certificate, and that will say that you've got, for example, star 3 in photo travel. And the Star Ratings Director also sends back to you your application spreadsheet. Now, this is very important, and when you get it, you must save it, because you'll be using that same spreadsheet to make your next application. There'll be some things on the spreadsheet which the Star Ratings Director has checked, and they will lock it so it can't be changed anymore, but you add things to that spreadsheet. You add your new acceptances to that same spreadsheet when you're ready to apply for your next star rating. And again, you send that off to the appropriate star ratings director. You will also get an electronic certificate that you can print out yourself to show that you've got the particular star rating. So that's the basic system. And as I said, most people, well, you'll be working through the star rating system for a while. And as I was mentioning before, when you get to the point where you've got your star rating number 5 in a division, such as the nature division, you can't use those images anymore for your further Galaxy and Diamond applications. We use the terminology that the titles are retired. Retired just means they can't be used again. So if you want to continue in that same star path, such as nature, then you start applying for the Galaxy ratings. And as I mentioned before, for Galaxy ratings, you must have exactly 3 acceptances for each of the titles. So that takes you into the Galaxy ratings. And again, just to emphasize what I said before, for Galaxies, each one to Galaxy 1 to 5, 25 different titles, 3 acceptances each, makes 75 acceptances. Galaxy 6 to 10, still 3 acceptances per title, but you need 50 titles. And then similar thing with the Diamond ratings, except we've now gone up to 6 acceptances for each of your new titles. Now back to some more general questions. Simple answer here, no. Acceptances never expire. So if you get an acceptance in 2020, you don't have to use that acceptance on an application in 2020. You can hold on to it for as long as you like. There's no expiry date for acceptances. Now, when you apply for your star ratings or Galaxy or Diamond ratings, each of the certificates that you get will indicate how many titles and how many acceptances have been approved for you. And what becomes important once you have those certificates is that you need a certain total number of acceptances for each of the ROPA distinctions. And the basic or first ROPA distinction is the QPSA. And QPSA requires just 54 acceptances that have been approved on star ratings. So a simple way of getting that would be to get star 3 in, let's say, nature division, and that will give you enough verified acceptances for you to apply for your QPSA. Or if you want to go to the next step, which is PPSA, PPSA requires 288 acceptances, and 288 acceptances is what you have verified if you've got star 5 in a division. Or you might get star 4 in nature and star 4 in photo travel. Adding those acceptances together makes 288, and you can apply for PPSA. So there's the 2 processes. One is getting your star ratings so that you have verified a certain number of acceptances, and then you can add those numbers together to get you the number of acceptances that you need for each ROPA distinction. Now, I've had, in fact, I got a question about this just yesterday from somebody. They had been keeping their own records and they knew that they had lots and lots of acceptances. And in this example, 1,200 acceptances, and they only need 288 to get the PPSA distinction. But they might be told, sorry, you can't. And the reason is simple. It comes back to what I was saying before. For each star rating, you need a certain number of acceptances but they must come from a minimum number of different images or different titles. So, for example, if you had 1,200 acceptances, but they only came from 50 different images, you're not going to be able to get PPSA, because PPSA requires 288 acceptances, but they have to come from at least 96 different titles. So keep that in mind. By all means, use your good images multiple times so you get lots of acceptances for them if you want to, but don't go overboard. Keep in mind, you need a minimum number of titles for each of the star ratings and therefore for each of the distinctions. The answer to this is yes. As I was saying before, once you get your star rating certificates, what becomes important is the total number of acceptances on those certificates, and you can use a combination of certificates from different divisions to get the number of acceptances, total number of acceptances you need for your ROPA distinctions. So you can combine the total number of acceptances to get the distinction. And here's an example. PPSA, 288 acceptances needed. You could get that just from star 5 in PIDC, for example, or 2 star 4s, because each star 4 means you've had 144 acceptances verified, or you might have a star 4 and 2 star 3s. That would still add up to 288 acceptances, or any other combination that will get you to 288 acceptances will allow you to apply for PPSA. And it's a simple process. When you go online to apply for your ROPA distinction, there's different sections on the web page where you put in the number of acceptances you have in each of the different divisions. And what is important is it comes to the total that's required. So just to summarize the basic process again, you gain your acceptances in PSA recognized exhibitions. You use those to apply for your star ratings or Galaxy Diamond ratings, and then you apply for the ROPA distinctions. 3 separate steps in the process. Now, for applying for the ROPA distinctions, you just go to the website and you'll find on that STARS ROPA page that I mentioned before, the STARS ROPA overview page, you'll see this link. It says a ROPA application, interactive web page, or you can do it by a document if you like, but it's better to do it online, the interactive web page. So you just click on that link and that will take you to a page where you put in your name and your PSA membership number and so on, and details about your acceptances. And you'll see on that page this summary that starting with QPSA, just 54 acceptances, that's all that's needed. PPSA 288 and so on. Now, the really keen ones finally get up to Grandmaster Platinum, which is 11,000 acceptances, but that's a long way off for most people. Something that's very important, you don't have to apply for each one of these in turn. You could, for example, if you already have a lot of acceptances, your first application could be for PPSA. You don't have to apply for the QPSA. Or if you wanted to, you could even go straight to EPSA, providing you have, in this case, 700 acceptances that have been approved through the star rating system. You don't have to apply for these. And of course, once you get any of these, you can use these initials or letters after your name, but only one of them, only the highest one. So if you did get QPSA and then later you got PPSA, you would stop using QPSA after your name and start using PPSA, and so on through the system. And this is just illustrating that point in a slightly different way. You can actually skip any of the qualifications if you want to. So if you did get QPSA, then you had a very successful year and you had enough acceptances for EPSA, you could go straight from QPSA to EPSA rather. You don't have to get the PPSA in between. And for all of these applications, you can apply, once you have the right number of acceptances verified through the star rating system, you can apply for your distinctions at any time. There's no waiting period. There's no special time of the year where you have to apply. You apply anytime, and there's no waiting period between different applications. So if you had PPSA, you can apply for EPSA as quickly after that as you like. So again, reinforcing that point, if you wanted to start off with QPSA, for example, or any other one, there's no closing date or no specific date where you have to apply. You can do it any time of the year. No waiting period between applications. So you can put these applications in as soon as you have enough acceptances, but the crucial thing is acceptances verified through the star ratings. You can't apply for any of the ROPA distinctions without doing the star ratings first. Get lots of questions about awards. Obviously, the exhibitions, when they report their results to PSA, they report the awards that were given, who got the gold medals, the silver medals, the honourable mentions, and so on. And this information is put into the PSA database, but it's not used for star ratings. It doesn't make any difference at all whether your image gets just an acceptance or if it gets a gold medal. It makes no difference to how much it counts towards a star rating. So the star rating system and the Galaxies and the Diamonds, that whole system is based just on acceptances, not on awards. When you join PSA, you can use acceptances that you gained before you joined, but there are some rules about this. Let's say, for example, you join PSA today, or keep it simple, join PSA on the 1st of December this year. You can obviously use any acceptances that you gain in exhibitions after the 1st of December this year, but you could also use acceptances back to the 1st of December last year, 2019, without needing to pay any extra money to cover that period. But if you want to use acceptances that go further back than 1 year before you joined, then you have to pay a fee for each year. So if you wanted to, say, for example, you joined now, to 1st of December this year, and you wanted to use acceptances that went back to 2013 or 2017 or however far back you want to go, you have to pay a fee for each year where you want to claim the acceptances. And that process is called buyback, B-U-Y, buyback. There's information on the website about this. So don't be confused about it at this stage. Don't worry about it at this stage. Simply remember that you can use those old acceptances, but if they're further back than 1 year, you'll have to pay a fee. Now, the fee that you pay is $25 US per year. And that's, for lots of people, that's a good value, because if you, say, for example, you joined today and you wanted to use acceptances from the previous 2 years, then going back 1 year, that's free. to go back 2 years, you'd have to pay $25. And if you had a lot of acceptances from that year that you were able to use, then $25 is good value, because it's basically the cost of entering one exhibition. And if you had even 20 or 50 acceptances from that year that you wanted to use, that's going to be good value to be able to use those for the fee of $25. So that brings us to the end of that presentation.